Hi guys, it's Millie and welcome to Let's Talk Personal Finance, the channel where we discuss how to make money and how to manage it. Do note, none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you're looking for financial advice, please speak to a certified financial advisor. Now back to the video. In this video, I'll be talking about what you need to know before signing an offer to purchase for a property. Now, this information is relevant for those looking for a property for them to personally reside in or for an investment property. So let's get into it. Now, the first thing you're going to do is pretty obvious, and that is to go see the property that you're thinking of purchasing. Now, whilst you're there, you need to pay close attention to every single thing on the property. You need to test the lights and all the electrical outlets. You need to test all the showers, all the taps, and you need to make sure that all the toilets on the property actually work. Now, normally as part of the offer to purchase agreement, the seller is supposed to provide you with electrical and plumbing compliance certificates. And this is just to make sure that the property is electrically sound and that the plumbing is A-OK. So you don't really have to worry about testing all of the electric outlets and all of the taps because these certificates should be part of your agreement. Now, you should also make sure that you test all of the windows. You make sure that they open and close properly, the hinges are in place. You also need to make sure that, test all the cupboards. So the kitchen cupboards, all of your closet drawers, everything. You need to look at the walls. You need to look at the floors. Look to see if there's any cracking of any sort. Now, the reason you need to pay close attention to every single thing, every small thing, every large thing on the property is that you need to take a note of these things. And if there are things you don't like about the property, or if the property has windows that don't work properly, you can use this to basically negotiate down the price of the property. Or otherwise, you can talk to the seller and then the seller can commit to actually fixing these problems before they actually sell the property to you. Now, if you opt for the second option, you need to make this as a clause as part of your offer to purchase. You need to write down the seller needs to fix the windows, needs to fix A, B, C, D as part of the offer to purchase. Otherwise, if you don't write it down, the seller might say, yeah, sure, I'm going to fix this, but they won't be legally obligated to fix anything. Now, the second thing you need to pay close attention to is the neighborhood that the property is in. So you need to make sure that you know all the surrounding neighborhoods. What are they like? Are they like safe areas? What kind of properties are they? You also need to pay close attention to properties that are close to the property that you're thinking of buying. How are they maintained? What do they look like? Because it's very important that you pay close attention to this, because the value of the properties around you ultimately have an impact on the value of your property. So it's very important to take note of that. Another thing is you need to look at the amenities that are available or close to your property. So is there more? Are there grocery stores? Are there restaurants? Are there gas stations? You also need to see if there's public transportation readily available. And it's especially important if you're buying an investment property because, not all of your tenants will have cars and they might need public transportation. So looking for maybe if a person get taxis nearby, or if there's the train nearby, that sort of thing is very important. Now, the third thing you need to do is to ask the seller to show you statements of latest statements of the property's rates and taxes, any electric and water bills, because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you inherit their debt. So let's say they haven't been paying their property taxes or their water and electricity. You don't want to buy the place and now you have this massive bill. Now, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I do think that the seller is obligated by law to settle all of their bills and settle all of their balances. So I think if they have any outstanding property taxes, whilst they're selling the property, they're obligated to take some of the money that they receive from you or the bank if you're financing, and they're supposed to use that money to make sure that the water, the electricity, and all the rates and taxes have been paid. But you just need to take note of this just in case, because I cannot guarantee that, they're obligated to do that by law. So it's just something to keep in mind, something to take a note of. Fourth point, and I'm sure a lot of people don't really think about this one, and it's only applicable to properties that are either in a complex or in an estate, and that is, you need to ask for the complexes or the estate's financials. You need to ask for their code of conduct or their rules, and you also need to ask for their 10-year levy plan. So basically, for the code of conduct or their rules, you need to know what the rules are on the property. Like, what do they allow? Do they allow pets? How many parking spaces? Just stuff like that. It's important that you have an idea of what you're getting yourself into, especially if it's your place, if it's a place that you're going to stay in, because you don't want to buy the place and then find out you can't bring your friends over. Okay, that's a bit weird. That's a weird example, but I think you get what I'm saying. Another important thing you need to note is, for example, one of the properties that we went to see, in their code of conduct, they had a clause that stated that if you're renting out your apartment, you need to include the code of conduct as part of the contract that your tenant is going to sign. So just stuff like that, it's important to know about it or to be aware of it beforehand, before you sign your offer to purchase, so you're making an informed decisions. Now, with regards to the financials and the 10-year levy plan, it's absolutely important that you ask for this information. So basically, the 10-year levy plan, and the financials, actually, it basically states how much money the complex or the estate is getting from the people that are paying in their levies. So owners are the ones that usually pay for the levies. So it basically tells you the income that the estate is going to get every year, and usually they have a maintenance plan. So for example, if your complex, it has a pool, it has a tennis court, they usually have a plan and say, okay, starting from 2020 and 2021, we're going to paint the entire complex. In 2022, we're going to have this much money and we're going to use this much to, paint the parking bays. We're going to use the money to fix the lights, in the complex. We're going to use the money to fix up the pool, update the pool, paint the tennis court, all of that stuff. It's absolutely important because to actually see this, because you don't want to put yourself in a position where you buy a property, it looks nice, and then 5 years down the line, because the body corporate is not taking care of the estate, it's now shabby, there's stuff that's broken everywhere, it doesn't look as nice, and now when you're trying to sell the property, you don't get as much money as you could have potentially gotten if the place was maintained. So this is absolutely important that you ask to see these documents before you sign your offer to purchase. Now, the fifth tip, and I think it's it's very basic, you actually need to read your offer to purchase, guys. I know how it can get. You're looking for properties, you go, you see this place, it's absolutely fantastic. It's everything you could ever want in a property, and you're so excited. You're like, oh my gosh, let me sign. And you know how sometimes the real estates then egg you on. They tell you, oh, 5 people saw this property in the last week. 2 people are coming to see this property after you. It's reasonably priced. A lot of people are interested in it. And they try to encourage you to sign the offer to purchase. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's important that you actually look at what you're signing. You need to read every single word in every single line on every single page of that offer to purchase. You need to make sure that you fully understand every clause, every statement. Because at the end of the day, an offer to purchase is a binding contract. So it means that once you sign it, even if you don't fully understand what's in the document, you're contractually obligated to stick to that contract. So it's very important that you understand what you're signing. So a recommendation or something that we did is that when we were signing our offer to purchase, we saw the place, we looked around it, and then we asked the real estate agent for a copy of the offer to purchase. And then we asked him for financials for the complex. We asked him for the 10-year levy plan, the code of contact, like financial statements for the property. And then he said he would email it to us. So we had the whole night to review all of these documents, to read the offer to purchase properly, and we would talk to him and ask him questions when there were clauses or things we didn't understand. And then only after we had a full picture of what we're actually getting ourselves into did we sign the offer to purchase. So it's very important. I know it's an exciting experience, but at the same time, you're putting a lot of your money on the line for this property. So you really need to understand what you're signing and what you're getting yourself into. Okay guys, so that's it for this video. I hope you found it useful. I hope if you're looking to buy a property, you take a note of these things, because it's absolutely important. You want to make sure that the property that you buy is a blessing and not a nightmare. So it's very important to make sure you understand what you're signing and what you're agreeing to. And remember guys, you're never too old or too young to talk about personal finance. Toodles!